Hi, this is Mike Hendrickson from Strata Hadoop World in New York City at the Javits Center. I'm here with Jim Kaskade. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Sure. So you're with CSC.
I am.
And what I know of CSC is that they've had a long tradition of working with government and government agencies, but I understand your business has changed over the past 10, 15 years?
It has. CSC now has diversified quite a bit. About 2/3 of our business is in commercial, and only 1/3 is in the public sector.
Okay, and so in the commercial area, what are some of the industries that you typically see working with you?
So we're prominently known for our data infrastructure thought leadership in insurance. We're doing quite a bit in manufacturing, health, but if you look across all the major industries, we have a significant presence.
And then for the government or for public sector, are you building a platform, a data platform for these folks, or what is your involvement there?
So, Mike, we're heavily investing in data infrastructure innovation by leveraging a lot of the technology out of the web scale companies, Google, Yahoo, Twitter, Facebook, and our company has taken a strong bias towards open source, as most of the industry is now today. So we're making significant investments in the form of engineers working on actually developing and creating technologies that help integrate solutions for our customers, both in commercial as well as government. And so a good example would be in the public sector, probably every three-letter agency is leveraging our infrastructure to keep our country safe.
So your data infrastructure, basically a full stack from ingesting unstructured data all the way through to the analytics side and making insightful decisions with data?
Every type of unstructured data you can possibly think of. It goes well beyond just the simple social media. We're talking video surveillance to satellite imagery to censored data, anything and everything that allows us to enrich profiles and understand, again, what people are doing to keep our country safe.
And so how do you see that going in the future? I mean, are we going to still be able to ingest the massive amounts of data that governments can collect?
When I started in my career working for companies like Teradata, large amounts of data was like 20 terabytes. That was a large enterprise data warehouse, right?
Yeah.
And we're now looking at petabytes like we then were looking at maybe megabytes, or terabytes. So the volumes or velocity, if you want to do the 3Ds, the amount of data is no longer a challenge. It literally has changed from I will spin up a complex data warehousing or analytic environment that will probably take me 24 months, a team of maybe 50 people, and a major investment, right? Not just in time, or I should say resources, but time. Time to value. Now I look at things like Transamerica here at Strata, Aegon company, and they had an 8-person team spin up a 10-node Hadoop cluster with over 700 million row types of data models using over 1,200 different source files. And they address 6 use cases, 30 terabytes, okay, which is, again, the Gartner big data warehouse, right?
Yeah.
And guess how long it took? 12 weeks. So they went from start to value in 12 weeks with an infrastructure that in 10 years ago would have been a major investment for any large Fortune 500 company.
So let me ask this though. So if we can spin that up and capture that much data, are we ever going to get to a point where we've captured so much we can't store it? Or do we have a storage policy on how long data is good? Because with government work, you wonder, do we really need a deeper archive? Yeah, so
the quick answer is yes. We will need a deeper archive. There is the issue of what people will say the data dump, instead of the data lake. But I think ultimately the price of storage is coming down so significantly, and the ability to process it is going down significantly. And even more importantly, the ability to build applications very quickly against that data and be curious around it allows us to say, well, maybe I want to look at trends 5 years ago. Maybe I want to compare what happened last decade versus now. So I think it would be less interesting because I think the half-life of data is you'll see the value of data come down quite significantly over time. It doesn't mean you can't put it on tape. At least now tape is going to store a lot more data from a lot longer ago, so I can have up to 5, 7 years, 10 years on spinning disk, where previously I couldn't.
Okay, so if we were to fast forward this conversation to next year at this time, where would you like to see CSC be, and what would you be doing with data with your customers that might be different or changing in that next 12 months?
Yeah, great question. So, in just the last 12 months, we've seen incredible focus around making deployment of these new web scale architectures easier. So platforms here at Strata, common theme, and I think it's just indicative of now of the maturity of the infrastructure. So we're integrating a lot of different parts. So this Aegon example, or many here presenting the ingestion, the store, the pre-processing within Hadoop, and then being able to apply analytics at scale. All of that has now become one integrated, easy, push the button, a handful of engineers can do. And we get into this environment of DevOps, right, where you've got really bright programmers who understand also how to be curious around the data and apply a little bit of statistics, who can really find some interesting insights and allow the true statisticians or the more purists to dive in more deeply. And I think that's where we are today. So 1 year from now, I see us getting much further ahead of the focus on platform. I see us getting further up the stack, as you would expect, just like in the days back in the 80s when it was all about the relational database, and now it's all about the applications that run on the database. Well, it's going to be more and more about the applications that run on this incredibly disruptive infrastructure. So if we don't see more people in booths here that are actually talking about end user applications with disruption, I'll be very surprised.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to seeing you next year, and we'll maybe have that conversation about where you've been.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Jim.
Cheers.